starting off with the lead name, we got Tobias. If you don't know, he is CEO of Shopify. So the company email would be tobias@shopify.com. Company name Shopify. What industry are you in? SaaS, and looking for YouTube content advice. We can submit that, and just like that we can see that our automation is already running. We are researching the company, then the lead, we're going to give him a score, and then upload it to our CRM Airtable here. And just like that, we have got Tobias in our CRM here. We gave him a score of 57.3, and we got the notes that he put into the form, so that we can compare his score to the list of other leads that we will have in the CRM here, so that we can of course prioritize the leads that come in. If you're still scoring leads that come into the pipeline manually, then you're falling behind. Lead scoring is a key factor that we integrate into 80% of all sales systems we build, and we see that it generates tremendous return. So today I will show you the simplest possible way that you can set up your first lead scoring system. We'll cover the data that is initially put into the Make.com scenario, and then dive deep into the AI steps that we do in between, and how that is all transferred to a CRM of your choosing. If you're new to the channel, my name is Kai, and I've been building these sort of systems for other businesses for the past 6 months. So if you'd like to see a more advanced version of this that is adapted to your specific use case, then you can contact me directly using the booking link in the description. Alright, so just starting off with the form here, what I want to run through is, obviously you would have seen that I used fill out forms for this, and what it is, it's pretty much a custom form builder that you can integrate into your website as a link for people to access, and it's pretty much what they're going to input as the information here. So if I go to build.fillout.com, so to get rid of this, you can see that I've got a couple of other builds, some other like tests and stuff that I've made, and then what you do is you can make any of these. These are native integrations, but what you're going to do is just get a template, and maybe if you want to do like an employee emergency or something, so you want to use this template, all that you are going to want to do is just, relate it to your use case, the way that you want to build it. I'll show you how we connect it in a second, but essentially what I want to get at here is that if I reload this, you can see that the form that I made is very, very simple, and I did that intentionally because what we actually get from the data that the user puts in is very straightforward data that we can still get that and actually be able to do something with it. So for example, if I were to ask the lead for the URL, that is a little bit more difficult. They would have to come into here and put in the HTTP sort of thing, and kind of like not very instinctive, not very intuitive for it to make. So obviously you do it to your specific use case, but the way I like to usually set this up is to put in their full name so that we can still research them and know who they are, and the company name. And then obviously from their company email, we can so for example, mine would be something like this. And from there we could see that that is an actual company that we can, extract an actual domain from and start researching from there. And then where you expect the most amount of information to come from is obviously from this box here, which we do use later in the step. But as you can see, right, it's pretty much very simple data, very intuitive that the lead can have, and we are still able to do something with it. So that's the point that I'm trying to get across. Now, moving away from this, I kind of want to touch on the Make.com side of things. If you don't know Make.com, it is a very, very beginner-friendly way for you to get started with automations, especially simple automations like these. The reason why that is because it has thousands of native connections, meaning that you don't need to set up anything custom yourself. So what we deal with as developers is usually making custom API requests, which consists of headers and JSON format data in most cases. But in Make.com, all that you need to do, for example, when you connect your fill out form, all that you need to do is connect your account and then log in to fill out form, and it's just going to ask you for a connection request, and then you click yes, do you agree to those connection requests. That's all that you need to do, which is why Make.com is extremely user friendly. The UI is very intuitive for you to get started. And so with that being said, the first thing that we need to do is connect our fill out form. So you can see that the way that I just did that is I clicked the trigger, watch new responses. It's the only one that actually comes up on fill out form. And you can see, so I just made that form just before. Let's see if that comes up. This is a template. So if I'll get another one. So if I were to publish this one over here, because of that native connection, I would then be able to add a webhook and then pick the form, and then this is that form there that we just made. So as simple as that, you can connect your account, and then that information will get sent as a schema. And the way that you can see that is by clicking. So this is the automation that we just ran before. We click answers, and then you get all of the information for you to map into the following scenarios. So that leads us into the very first scenario that we're going to go through, which is a 4.1 mini, very simple OpenAI connection. If you don't have an OpenAI connection on your make.com, all they need to do is go into OpenAI account, and then you go into API keys, and then you just create a new key here. Obviously this is not my account, so there's only one key there that I don't even use. So that's the case for that, and then that is what you input into the make.com scenario, and then from that point on you can access all the models and start prompting from there. But the prompt that I actually put into this module here was for it to, so I said in this developer system message, I said you are an intelligent research assistant, which is really what you always kind of want to start off with. And then in this user message, I said, extract the website of the following email. And then I give it the user email. Only take the domain name and add HTTPS in front, because that will give us the official URL. And I said, don't output anything else, no summary, no explanation, just the website, because that will make it more deterministic, is how we call it. I say output everything in JSON so that we can map it later on. And this is the example that I give it. So as Ray Dalio and Bridgewater Associates, the company website is Bridgewater. And then we have that as an example output that we get so that we can map this. You don't need to map this, but if you need like maybe a URL and some other sort of data from the same module, what you can do is you go down here, toggle advanced settings, and then you click text to JSON object, and then you pass that JSON response so that you can then go into and do something like this. So when you click over here, you can actually map the company website along with other values that you need. And that's why we need that output JSON. I did that just to show you guys that little feature. And one other thing that I want to show you, so that at the end we have another user message to actually show the AI what the data that we are getting is, so the real-time data. And I just map it as domain, so in the same JSON format, just to keep the rules like consistent. And then I map that email domain that we extract from it as well. But as you can see, we get the URL from that. Now, from this step, there are two things you need to know. Firstly, that we use Perplexity AI, and all that it is, it's like a search engine built on top of AI. So we can make searches based on these, the company and the lead. This is similar to ChatGPT and their own like search tools that you see in the dashboard, but this Perplexity is like the OG of doing this, and it's very, very good. And the reason we're researching about the company and the lead is because we want to find out about the services and the decision maker that is actually contacting us. So we want to know if the person that is filling out the form is actually a decision maker, and we want to know what the services actually are, because for this particular use case where we are a marketing agency looking for SaaS, which I'll show you the specific guidelines in the lead score, we need to see exactly the services and the guardrails and compare that data against each other so that we can actually get a feasible lead score at the end. Everything's going to make sense. Let's just walk through this step by step. Perplexity is just like ChatGPT. So if you log in, make an account using Google, from that point you can click into account and then my account. And then what you need to do is set up an API group, which is where you create API keys within that one group. And then you need to create a billing. So you connect you attach your credit card or whatever, and then $5 from that point is more than enough. From that, you can actually make an API key. By the way, it's the same thing for OpenAI. You need to set up a billing of at least $5 from that point. But once you've done that and set up in the same way that you would have set up OpenAI in your make.com scenario, we can go ahead to the prompt and see that we are using this Sonar model, and then have a system message of you are intelligent researching assistant. We then pass in a user message where I say to it, conduct a research on the company website and return a concise summary about the company services. And this is where I'm telling it what the actual company website is, which just happens to be the result from our previous module from before. And then we get a result that's a little bit like this. So from that past example, we can see that Shopify is a comprehensive commerce platform designed to help businesses create, manage, and grow their online in-person sales. And then we've got a whole bunch of information. You can obviously manipulate that data to, you know, standardize like volumes of information. I just didn't put that in a prompt. But then we do the exact same thing for the lead. Once we actually gather the services, and then for the lead, we search up this exact search bar. And it shows up as Tobias Luke, so the first name, the full name from the form, role at, which is the dynamic message. I actually should have put in a space there, as you can see, but the AI understood it, and then it returned something that looks a little bit like this. So it said Tobias Luck, I think that's how you pronounce his last name. We can see that he is the CEO of Shopify, and that information alone is more than enough to influence the lead scoring LLM, which I'll touch into right now. Now in here, you can see that I've used the smarter model, the 4.1, just because I wanted to guarantee that more strategic approach to evaluating the information. And so to do that, I have the developer system message saying you are a smart and strategic analytics assistant. And then I say, act as a lead scoring assistant who has a knack for looking at fine data that distinguishes the ones who are high priority from those who aren't. Because after all, that's all that we're doing with the lead information that we're getting through in scoring. And I said, your job is to follow the scoring criteria and give the lead score from 1 to 100 based on the info provided. Always follow the guidelines and never give a score below 1. And here are the guidelines over here. So they are based on budget authority, which is pretty much the decision maker, which is worth 33 points max. The industry specialization, so the services and what they are at as a business. And then down here, I have the services that we're targeting and that we are prioritizing as an agency. So let's go through these step by step. So obviously the final decision maker, so CEO, CMO, whatever, is worth 33 points. A budget owner is a VP or head of growth, which is 24.75, which is 25% of the total score. And then you can see strong influencer and limited influence goes down from there all the way to 8.25 points. Into industry specialization, the primary niche that we're targeting in this particular use case, let me actually open this up for you so you can see it better. So we're targeting B2B SaaS companies. So if you can see from that last example, that's exactly what Shopify is. It's for very, very small business owners, but it still qualifies for that SaaS aspect of it. And it most likely got qualified within the enterprise SaaS sort of thing, and it got 33 points for that. For mid-market, based on the research, we get 26.8, SMB at 19.8, general B2B 13.2, and then finally I put in B2C or other industries equals 0 points, because then I'm setting clear data that I don't want to the AI and what to do if that's actually the case, which is give it 0 points. Now, finally, I got the services that we're actually prioritizing as a service, which is meta ads. And if you remember from the example before, we did content generation. So I said, can you give me YouTube advice? So that's why we didn't actually reach the top marks, because this is the lowest mark possible, which is another 8.25. But then I say pretty much prioritize meta ads, so Facebook, Instagram, and then cold email, and then email nurture. So for warm audiences. And then at the end here, I put in output the final score, nothing else, which then leads me to say, here's the actual info. And then I say the company, the lead, and then the industry. Here I should actually say what they actually want help with. That's what I would change. But you can see that we are now extracting our past results from past modules and inputting it into this lead score step, so we can actually get a finalized output based on the data. And here's a really important thing that I want to show you after this step. I have a filter step here with the result of the last step. So if I click on this here, you can see that it pulsates if I hover above it. If it's not greater than 40, it means it's not actually qualified. And again, this is what I did for this use case, so I can show you guys what is possible with this. But for example, if you go back into the form and fill out, let's say Airbnb, so Brian Chesky as an example, I can turn this on right now, and then over here, I'll just say, I am in hospitality. and need a new marketing channel, something like that. Because in this sense, so we'll just submit that. In this instance, we are giving it a huge company name. We are still giving it an industry, and we're giving it some information about a marketing channel. But based on this research and the lead scoring guidelines, we are still going to manage to make a decision on that. And as you can see, we didn't actually qualify Brian Chesky through because the lead score wasn't high enough to actually go through that into the CRM, which is the Airtable. And this is a really powerful point that you can leverage into your systems, because when you go into the Airtable base, not only are you going to have a list of leads to prioritize first, but you're already going to know that the definite unqualified ones that tried to reach out to you in the first place are already out of the list, and you don't even have to worry about in the first place. Now, in regards to having this all set up in a CRM, I'm going to show you first how I set everything up in Airtable, and then I'll show you how you can leverage that into your own CRMs that you might want to use as well. So within Airtable, you're going to want to go to your profile here and then click Build a Hub. From this point, what Make.com is going to ask you to do to make a connection is a personal access token. You can see I've already got a few other ones here. So you're going to click Create New Token and just name it whatever. The scopes are usually going to be data records.read, data records write, and then schema basis read. Don't ask me why. That's just a usual rule of thumb that I've gotten used to, and it's usually what you're going to want to pick. Now for access, you're just going to click the base that you want. In this case, it's my base, and then you just create a new token over here. That's all that you need to do, and then you configure that, you input that into the Airtable, and then from there, you will have access to the Airtable. Now, this is what it looks like for Airtable to actually map all the data. And I'm telling you this because it applies to all of the other CRM systems as well. And you just, whoops. So you name the base that you want. In this case, it's YT lead scores. And then you click the table. And then this information is all being mapped directly from the fill out forms that came in. We got the name, the company name, the email. We could even put the URL that was generated back here as context as well. Now you can see when I go to lead score and I hover over this result here, the lead score module starts to pulsate, which indicates to us that it's that result that is being generated over here in the Airtable as well. And then finally, we got the notes aspect of the fill out form being transitioned into the Airtable as well. Now, if you want to have this into your own CRM, you can. It'll be similar UI to actually map all this information, and you can see, you got Pipedrive, you got HubSpot, a whole bunch of the different options. They're all native to Make.com, which again makes everything way easier for you to manage and control. And by having this in your own CRM, you can actually take your hands off of the automation. You don't have to manage that automation in particular. If you can actually visualize it on a real, database where the other members of your company can see it as well. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll be releasing this exact template so that you can download and start using it for yourself. But most importantly, I hope that you understand it and can actually tweak it to your own use case based on what I've said to you. Now, as mentioned before, if you are a business owner looking for more complex versions of this exact build, or maybe they adapt in a particular way to your specific use case, then feel free to contact us using the booking link in the description. Other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.